Hello, my name is Michael Mastrangelo, and I am the president of the Suffolk County Music Educators Association. Welcome to the 16th annual Scmea Day of Horn. Members of our organization have been working to adapt the programs we offer due to the current circumstances so that students from across the county may continue to have access to musical enrichment opportunities this school year. I would personally like to thank our Day of Horn Committee, Alan Orloff, Christine Zacher, and Dan Kruger for their time and efforts to bring today's musical festival to fruition. As you participate in the interactive virtual music activities, it is my hope that you find them of value and enjoy participating in the Scmea Day of Horn this year. Without further ado, I would now like to introduce Alan Orloff. Thank you.
Thank you, President Mastrangelo. Hello, everyone. I'm Alan Orloff, founder of the Scmea Day of Horn. Welcome, welcome, welcome to the 16th annual First Virtual Day of Horn. Welcome to all the horn players. Welcome to the family, friends, neighbors, and music teachers. Thanks to my co-chairs, Mrs. Christine Zacher and Mr. Dan Kruger. And thanks to the members of the Suffolk Horn Club as well for all they did to create this wonderful event. Special thanks to the Suffolk County Music Educators Association for supporting our Day of Horn all these years. The COVID pandemic has been a terrible disaster, but even it can't stop us from having fun playing our horns. I hope you have a wonderful time at Horn Day. I'm looking forward to all our events and to ending our evening, as always, playing together in our massed horn ensemble. So, let's pick up our horns and join Mrs. Zacher for warm-ups.
Hello everyone, my name is Mrs. Zacher. I'm one of the organizers of Horn Day, a horn player, horn teacher, and overall horn lover. And very happy that you've decided to join us today. So the first thing we're going to do today is I'm just going to lead you through a couple of warm-ups. As you may know, playing an instrument is just like playing baseball or playing soccer or lacrosse, where your coach will have you warm up before you start your actual exercises. Well, on an instrument, and especially a brass instrument, all these little muscles here need to be warmed up along with our breath and our tongue and our fingers before we can play our best. So I'm going to just take you through a couple of things you could do before you play to make your actual playing easier. Throughout this whole set of warm-ups, I'd like you to think about blowing warm air through your horn. And to get an idea of what warm air feels like, pretend like you're sitting in the car and you're gonna, on a cold day, you're gonna blow on the window, and because you want to fog the window up. Well, you don't go, right? To do that, you go, right? So if this is the window, the air that comes out on your hand should be nice and warm. So go ahead and give that a try. That air is coming from deep down inside of you, and that is the way that you can get a nice, big, warm, open sound, okay? So we're gonna keep that warm air idea in mind as we go through the warm-ups. The first thing we're gonna do, and the first thing I'm sure many of you already do, is buzz on the mouthpiece. But you don't wanna just take your mouthpiece and go, you wanna take a nice deep breath and just buzz very easily, and whatever comes out, okay? Like this. Do you want to try that? Ready? Mouthpiece up, big breath, warm air. And try to buzz for as long as you can, okay? So the next thing we're going to do is drop the mouthpiece in our instrument and give it a little twist. And we're going to do the same thing, only this time we're going to produce a sound. We're going to try it without using any fingers, and it's possible that you could get any number of pitches on the open horn, and for this it really doesn't matter. So we're going to just take that deep breath, and we're going to blow that warm air through our horn, and we're going to try to hold those pitches as long as we can. Okay, I'm going to aim for 16 counts, about this speed. Okay, ready? Set it up, open horn, take a big breath and blow warm air. 1, 2, ready? "13, 14, 15, 16. Good. I didn't make it 16 beats that time, but I'm sure a lot of you did. So good. So you could try doing that a couple times just to get yourself, get your air moving, okay? Now, the next thing, if you take a look at number 2 on the warm-up sheet, this is an exercise that was written by Bernard Scully and Jesse McCormick of the Kendall Betts Horn Camps, which does a great job with this. And it's called Ho-Do-Do. It's a way to get your air moving, and it's a way to play fairly easy notes and really concentrate on getting your best sound. So what that means is when you have 3 notes in a row, the first one, instead of t or tonguing the note, you're going to do a breath attack. Okay, and you're just gonna go ho do do. So it's kind of ho do do, and it's gonna go like this. And when you play the do, it's really just you're really just very, very lightly tonguing those second 2 notes, second and third note. It's kind of almost like you might think of a legato kind of a tongue, okay? So we're going to follow right along. We're going to go use the C chromatic scale, and we're going to go up from low C to high C and we're going to have a beat, we're going to have a measure of rest in between, okay? So if we go about this, it's about a quarter note equals 60. Ready? Starting from the beginning. 2, ready? D flat, first and second valve. D natural, big breath. Keep that warm air going. E flat, second. And ready? E natural, big breath. Let's do one more. Let's do F. Okay, we're going to stop here in the interest of time, but you get the idea. Play it all the way up to the end of the exercise, which is high C. And then as soon as you're done with that, take a rest. Okay. The next thing we have is called Sing, Buzz, Create. And right here, of course, we have Mary Had a Little Lamb, which everybody knows. And, you know, buzzing and singing are good ways to help you find your pitch. Remember that this instrument is really just kind of like a giant amplifier, or it's like when you put a speaker and then you connect it to your phone via Bluetooth. It just, you know, makes everything louder and clearer. But really, the work is all done on the mouthpiece. So I'm sure you all know that you can buzz a song just on your mouthpiece. So here, Mary Had a Little Lamb. Want to try that with me? Try buzzing Mary Had a Little Lamb using warm air. Ready? Ready? 1, 2, set. And you try to make that sound just like Mary Had a Little Lamb, and you do that often enough and you're going to find you have a little more control over how to place your pitches, which is a great thing. Okay? All right. Moving on to number 4, we have something that I'm sure most of you do called lip slurs. And lip slurs are a wonderful way to kind of get yourself to get into the habit of smooth transitions between notes. On the lip slurs, we will tongue the first note of each slur, and the rest of it are going to be slurred. This is all played on the F horn, and if you'll notice, you have fingerings there, okay, just in case, you know, you forget how to play some of those fingerings. We're essentially going to go backwards chromatically, and we are going to do it all on the F horn. So those of you with the double, do not use your trigger, just do it on the F horn. So we're going to start on C, and we're going to go about 1, 2, 3, 4, about that speed, and it's going to sound like this. And then we go on and we do the same thing on second valve, etc. Okay? So in the interest of time, we may not do the whole thing, but why don't you try it with me? We're going to start out on open C. Okay? We're going to go about this speed. Okay, ready? Here we go. Let's try open. We're going to do those lip slurs. 1, 2, ready? Second vowel. Warm air, first vowel. First and second. Second and third. Lots of air, use warm air. 1 and 3, ready? Ready? Last one. 1, 2, 3, no trigger. Warm air. Okay, so those are your lip slurs. I'm sure many of you do lip slurs. So it's a wonderful way to just get everything going, especially if you want to get down into your lower range. Those lower ones are really great for that. Okay, the last thing we're going to do is we're just going to do a real easy tonguing exercise. You can do this on any scale that you want. I typically, we're just going to do it with the C scale for today because everybody knows that. Feel free to use your double horn, okay, if you have one. All right, so we're going to go about this, and if you'll notice, starts with quarter notes, eighth notes, 16th notes. So the idea is to just kind of get your tongue moving like this. 1, 2, ready? Okay, when you get to the 16th notes, use a lighter tongue, or think about using less tongue. I think students, you see 16th notes, so you just want to attack them, and you want to really attack them with your tongue. But in this case, we want to just use a very light tongue. Okay, let's try this exercise. Here's our beat. 1, 2, ready? D. Okay, we can stop. That gives you the idea. Feel free to finish these warm-ups and, take a look at the sheets and just read the little comments on the sheet, and I hope that you'll find something in these warm-ups that works for you. Okay, we're going to pass you on now to our soloist, so we'll see you later in the masked ensemble. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Dr. Katie Duke, and here is a sample of a level 1 NISMA solo for horn called Timepiece.
This is a level 2 NISMA solo called Minuet by George Philip Telemann, arranged by Paul Stouffer.
Computer. So it now says recording. So did anyone get a pop-up or anything?
No.
No? All right, cool. Well, I'm recording, so. All right. Here we go. Hi, boys and girls. I am Mr. Kruger. I am one of the co-chairs. I'm here with Miss Zacher and Mr. Orloff, our other co-chairs and founder of our Day of Horn. And we're here to talk to you about some Q&A time, some questions and some answers to help you become a better horn player. So the first one up that I have written down here is, are there any main tips or tricks when you're struggling to work on something? I mean, all three of us are band directors or retired music teachers. And one of the things that I've always found with my students is I keep reminding them that it's a puzzle. Every time you're working on something, it's a puzzle. It's just like working on a real puzzle in front of you. And I always tell my kids, what's the first thing you do? Well, the first thing I do is I work out the outline and I make the square of the outside because it's easy to find those little pieces. So I'm always finding the little sections that I can work out really well and make sure that those are good to go. And then I look and find the smaller sections that are a little bit more challenging. Another one that I always tell my kids is It's kind of like making sugar cookies where you have that giant ball of dough, and before you're going to cut it out with the cookie cutters, you have to roll out that dough and make it nice and flat and even. And when you have one little spot that's got a couple of bumps in it, you want to spend a little extra time there smoothing it out. Go slow, take your time. Even if it's a running line, play it as quarter notes and get the notes down first, and then start to speed it up slowly. And before you know it, you're going to be back up to tempo and making it sound really good. So those are kind of a couple of my tips and tricks for working on some French horn stuff. Mr. Orloff, what do you got?
Well, on this same subject, one of the things that I find is always the hardest is that everybody wants to play the piece through. So it's the same thing as you telling them it's about little puzzle pieces. One of the things that I find is that if you look at a piece of music, it'll be scale-wise, and those things will be kind of easy. But then you'll come to a spot where there's a note and a large jump, a big interval. So a lot of times I'll break it down and practice the intervals first so that I'm ready to make those jumps. And I like to take little bits first and fix them and find them. If they're way up high, I take them down an octave so I can get the pitches in my ear. But then by taking little bits that I can already sense, that's going to be hard for me to jump from this D down to this A is going to be hard. I'll do that a couple of times, and it seems then I can start to put the little pieces back into a whole big piece and get my run-throughs. So that's one of the things, especially. I find intervals must be practiced ahead of time in more difficult situations. They're usually the place that is the thing that's most challenging. If the melody is in Mozart and it's sort of like a scale, well, scales are easier than having to make big jumps. So that would be my suggestion.
Cool. The next question I have here is playing with braces. Mr. Orloff, you are the king of this, so go for it.
Well, it's funny. I got my braces on and found all of a sudden that after I was in the 4th grade, I became a French horn player, and I was supposedly a pretty good one, and I felt I was playing well. And then I got braces, and I could not play. And back when I got braces, the appliances were these big clunky metal things with bands that went around each tooth. Nowadays, the appliances are so much smaller and they're glued onto your teeth. But no matter what happens, you're used to having played one way with your mouth, with the mouthpiece on your lip. And now, when you put the mouthpiece on the lip, you've got the round area of your mouthpiece, and it could be pressing right on one of the brace appliances. So almost automatically, you're going to be shifting the embouchure you've been playing with over a little bit or on an angle a little bit so that the appliance is not sitting directly on the rim of the mouthpiece. And this is something I believe that you're going to have to accept. Getting braces is a necessary part of the growing up process of a lot of kids. And even more importantly, they're very important because they will lead to you having a lifetime of great dental health. Whereas if you don't have them, you can find that you will have difficulties later on in life with your dental health. So you must, first of all, commit to the idea that it's not going to be the same, but that you can take your mouthpiece and just move it a little bit here, a little bit there, a little bit down. You will have to get used to it. The second part of braces is that it allows you to actually make a better embouchure. You will finally, if you have been playing with a little bit of puffiness, or a little bit of looseness in your lip, you will now find that you can tighten the corner muscles here and here, flatten your chin, and make your lips function as a really strong pad to rest your mouthpiece on so that it's not pressing on the brace appliance. By doing that, you will be not only strengthening your embouchure, but you will also be not using pressure to play with. You will be using your embouchure in the way it's truly intended to. So a lot of good can come out of braces because instead of, here, I'll show you. A lot of times I see, and I'm going to hold it up, you see people pressing in. You have to feel like you're
pulling away when you get braces. Form your embouchure, place on gently, and try to play. And that will absolutely help you to get through. Now, I also have to say this. Your teacher and your parents and everybody else must be involved in your braces adventure. There is a chance that you will not be able to play up as high as you had been or as you would like to. That is especially the place where braces will affect you the most, is trying to get up into the high register. So accept it. Don't try to worry about the idea, oh, I can't play up high, I won't be able to do this. It's going to be a few years that these braces can be on. And then I'll just say one other thing about it, because I just went through this with one of my students who's now going into the 11th grade, and we've been in braces for 4 years together. He got them off 3 weeks ago, and by using these techniques, it was a very easy change back. At first, he felt a little weird, his tone was weird, and we talked about it in lessons, and surely by slowly just shifting, he's right back up into the high register. Our last lesson, he was playing high B flats in the Mozart second concerto. And you'll just have to understand that when you get your braces off, you will now have to sort of relearn your embouchure, because it won't be distorted by trying to keep the rim off of the brace appliances. So that's what I know about trying to teach with braces. I had to play with braces myself. So this has been a lifelong study for me, and I hope that what I had to say to you can help you if you are a person who's playing and all of a sudden discovers, oh no, I'm getting braces. Remember that braces are a really good thing for you, and they can also help you to develop a really, really fine embouchure.
They're also temporary. They're not forever. They're going to come off. Don't worry.
They will come
he's
off.
right. You are going to skyrocket when those come off. All of a sudden, you're like, wow, look at what I can do with a horn. It's pretty awesome.
Yep.
Ms. Acker, what am I supposed to do with my right hand?
Oh, one of my favorite questions, Mr. Kruger. Glad you asked. So, I like this topic, and one reason I really like this topic for all of you out there from beginners through high school age is because in addition to being a horn player, horn teacher, I'm also a NYSSMA judge. And as are Mr. Kruger and Mr. Orloff, and I think one of the things that I see the most often is incorrect usage of the right hand. And so I think this is a really good topic for tonight. So, you all, by the time you're big enough to, to hold the horn up, you have the bell on your right leg, and, you have your left hand is going to be busy with the keys. So that leaves your right hand. What do you do with it? Well, many kids that I see just simply put the hand right here and use, to use your right hand just to hold the horn. And that's actually pretty logical thinking, but that is not what we do. Basically, if you have the bell on your leg, and I know you can't see my leg here, but if I have the bell on my leg, I can hold the horn with my leg and my left hand on the valves. I don't need this right hand, to hold the horn. So that frees us up to use this right hand as what I call the sound shaper, because that right hand actually, when used correctly, can change the sound in the bell. And I'll show you what I mean. So instead of putting your hand, right here or over here or, wherever, what we're going to do is we're going to take our right hand and we're going to make kind of what I call the royal wave. So you're going to make a nice shallow cup with your hand and just gently rest your thumb along the side. You're not squeezing or anything. It's just so keeping your fingers together. And what you're going to do is you're going to put it in the bell on the far side of the bell, just about till your big knuckles hit the flare. okay? So if you look at your horn as a clock, and I know most of you guys now tell time digitally, but for those of us who are a little bit older, you think of it as the face of a clock. This is 12 o'clock over here. And then for me, this is 3 o'clock, 6 o'clock, and 9 o'clock over here. 9 o'clock being closest to your body. So if you take that royal wave, okay, and you bring it around and you put it in the bell right around 3 o'clock, it kind of forms this nice little passage for the air to go through. And you can change your sound and you can change your pitch depending on where your hand is. So let me just demonstrate. I'm going to play a note, and I'm going to not, I promise I am not going to use my fingers, and I want you to listen to what happens, okay? So this is just using my hand. Could you hear the pitch change? I did not use my lips. I did not use my left hand. It was all done with my right hand. And what I did was I just opened and closed my hand just by bending my wrist back and forth. Okay, and actually in horn playing, we use that to sort of give the horn its characteristic sound. So if I play something without my hand, I'm going to get this. It's kind of a nice open sound, but if I put my hand back in our 9 o'clock position, see if you can hear a difference. To me, the sound is a little bit mellower, and it's what we would call maybe a little bit more covered. So we do that so that helps us maintain the characteristic horn sound. The other reason we do that is because sometimes horns are called upon to make interesting sounds. And there is something called stopped horn. And that's where we bend our wrist and we're going to actually seal the bell entirely so the air doesn't get out. And a lot of composers like this effect, and many times in music you will see a little cross above your note. That means to play it stopped. So I'm going to play a G open and I'm going to play it stopped. Now this is the stop. I'm going to close all the air off. So what happened there? I played G both times. Well, I'll tell you what happens. Of course, these gentlemen know exactly what happens. When you close your bell off, you raise your pitch up 1/2 step. So in order to make it sound the same, you have to finger it down 1/2 step on your F horn, which is this front set of slides. Okay, so if I want to play a G stopped, I actually have to finger F sharp. Now play it stopped, and I'm going to make it G this time. So that's how that works. But those are the reasons why, you know, we put our hand in the bell. Those of you that are real small and maybe you can't quite do that because you're not tall enough, that's okay. Try to put your hand wherever you can. If you have to put it right here, that's okay. But as soon as you get a little bit taller, try experimenting with your hand over there, okay? And when I see you at NYSSMA, I'm going to write a really nice comment on your sheet, okay?
Same.
Same. And you know, I could point out that on the NYSSMA sheet, it really is a category. It comes under posture.
Yep.
And it's part of the posture of holding the horn, so that maybe the judge for beginners and levels 1 and 2. But I find as a judge that by the time I get to level 4 and 5, and especially 6 solos, the hand has to be properly in the bell. Otherwise, you will lose a point.
Right.
And I think that's an important thing for everybody to know. the stop, the one thing I just would like to add, it's a curious reason why the pitch goes up, because you can make the pitch go down. The pitch goes up because by stopping, you actually shorten the length of the horn.
Right.
And that's why the pitch goes up a half step, and you have to then imagine it by fingering it a half step down. I always found that the physics of has nothing to do with music and everything to do with the physics of
physics.
vibrations in a tube.
Yep.
So that's just something, another
physics.
reason why the hand has to be properly in the bell.
A lot of
Cool.
what we do is physics, which is
yeah.
very interesting.
Absolutely. All right, the next one I got, we're coming down to our last few questions here. What's your favorite solo piece to play? Now, I know Mr. Orloff well enough to know that somewhere right where he's sitting, he has an ISPA manual. Am I right? Yep.
Here's my manual
Yeah,
right
so
here.
I know my Mr. Orloff. So,
Okay,
Mr. Orloff, why don't you go
actually am
through
never far-
not
I'm never
every
far
one of
from
them?
my manual, and that is the
Yeah,
truth.
exactly. Why don't you
So-
go through the horn solos and just give us a couple of, 2 or 3 from each level?
that's
I know that we
okay,
heard a few just now.
I have, look, I'm not giving anything away to let you folks know that I am 70 years old. I've been playing the horn for 61 years. And my instrument I bought in 1968. It's been rebuilt once. I have been playing the same horn all these years.
Wow.
I have definitely, there's lots of great solos in the list in the manual, but I definitely have my favorites in each level. I would like to say that especially for beginners, level 1, my favorite comes out of a song, out of a folio book with many solos in it called F Horn Solos Level 1. And my absolute favorite is called March of the Space Patrol. That is my favorite level 1 solo. And it's followed closely in the same book by a piece by a man named Leonard Smith, a very famous brass player and composer of the last century. And it's actually edited by a man named Philip Farkas with notes by Mr. Farkas. Mr. Farkas being the man who not only was first horn in the Chicago Symphony and the professor of horn at the University of Indiana, but he also wrote the book, The Art of French Horn Playing. So, and that one is called Our Favorite. So that's my 2 top choices in level 1. In level 2, I'm very fond of, there's one piece that I try with some of my beginners in level 2, if they can play up a little bit higher, because it goes up to an E. And it is the last solo in the list. It's under the Concert and Contest Collection for French Horn. And it's by Richard Strauss, and it's called Allerseelen. But Allerseelen is a tough solo. I've been just corrected. It's Allerseelen. So, so the one that I usually use in level 2 comes again from a folio of solos. It's again in that F horn solos level 1. I love buying books where I can get the most bang for the buck and have many pieces to play. And the last solo in that book is the theme from Swan Lake by Tchaikovsky. And that is a great level 2 solo.
Tough one.
It's a tough one. It has its challenges, but I think it's really playable for a level 2 solo.
It's also really, really pretty.
It's really beautiful. And believe me, there are so many other, there are many different solos. There's another one in level 2 called Autumn Dream. That's in a book called Solo Sounds for French Horn, level 1 to 3. Now that level 1 to 3 doesn't correspond to NISMA. That's just the title of the book. But Autumn Dreams is a beautiful piece, and maybe the, dare I say it, the easiest level 2 that you can play.
It's definitely my go-to. I'll tell you that much.
It has its challenges because you have to really concentrate on dynamics and making it a beautiful melody. So it's that as you move up the levels, there's always something that will be challenging. In level 3, I always, I especially like to use a piece out of that same book, Classic Festival Solos, Volume 1. Okay, and that's not the same as the Classic Festival Solos levels 1 through 3. There's 2 books. One is pink, one is blue covered, And in that, there is a solo called Chalet, Chalet. Chalet, my favorite level 3 solo, absolutely, without a doubt. Um, I hope you don't mind. I'm looking down in the manual quickly.
No, that's okay.
Okay. Level 4, I absolutely have 2 favorite solos. And again, they come out of that Solo Sounds for French Horn, but this book is called Levels 3 to 5, Volume 1. And the first one is an arranged melody from a Beethoven octet called Andromeda Serenade.
That's my favorite.
And the Andromeda Serenade is just such a great piece to play.
Beautiful.
It really is beautiful. You will enjoy playing that piece. It's challenging but doable. And in that same book, a few pages beyond that, is one called Melodies from Der Freischütz. Now that's by Carl Maria von Weber. And that one has 2 high Fs in it that are really approached by leap. So it's not without its difficulty, but it is, the Freischütz means the hunters, and horn players started out being as woodsmen and hunters. Our horns were our tools to signal and to do lots of different things with. And so the Freischütz is an opera, and this piece ends with what's called the Hunter's Chorus. So if you can picture 40 hunters all dressed up in their woodsman gear coming out to sing in this opera, that's the melody of this piece. So
it's also a really well-written piece because you have a mixture of the smooth, beautiful opening and then that more fun stuff towards the end. So it doesn't kind of get boring. It's a fun piece to work on and to play. And you sound really good when you get it down.
You sound really good. And I'll say this about it. It really doesn't have any rests.
No.
So it is one that helps you develop your the strength of your embouchure and your endurance. It's a really good solo because, look, we want to get more out of a solo than just, oh, I'm working on this solo for a year and I'll play it. No, every part of it has to be something that will lead you to be a better horn player. All right, so I'm up to level 5 now, and I always choose for my level 5 the second movement of Mozart Concerto Number 1. Now, why do I choose that? Because, first of all, Mozart wrote these 4 horn concertos specifically for horn, and I believe that they are the most beautiful pieces of classical music ever written. And I'm sorry to all the trumpet players and to the trombonists.
They're not here.
But we had the greatest composer maybe in history write 4 pieces just for us. The second movement of the first concerto is very playable, but within that, you can use all the Mozart concertos for level 5 because the first movement and the second movement of Concerto 1 are level 5 solos. The third movements of Concerto 2, 3, and 4 are level 5 solos. And then the first movement of Concerto Number 3 is also a level 5 solo. So you can really, and it's as if you were going to be a person who was going to major in English and literature, well, then you would be reading the great books. You would read Shakespeare, you would read Steinbeck, you would read all of these books because that would be your interest. And I believe that we as horn players have to build our repertoire, and what better place to start than with the 4 greatest classical pieces that were all written for us. I think every horn player, by the time they're done with high school, has got to, maybe they won't be perfected, but you have to have at least touched upon all the movements of all the Mozart horn concertos.
Yes, I agree.
So that's where I get some level 6 out of there. I have one last thing about level 6. In that book, Classic Festival Solos, Volume 2, it's edited, it's under the name of the editor, Lamb, Jack Lamb. And it is a Franz Strauss solo, and it's called Fantasie. Now, I don't think that Franz Strauss actually wrote it under that name, but Fantasie is a theme and variations. The theme is beautiful. The variations are challenging, but it is a doable solo. It is one especially that doesn't go up that high. Most level 6 solos are always touching on B flats, but the Fantasie, while it is, I think it goes up to a high A.
Yes, it does.
It doesn't always get you straining in the high register. Where it really gets you is in the fingers, because the third variation is fast, and you really got to go with it. But that's also a good playable one. So there's my level 1 to 6 choices after a lifetime of doing these. And of course, I also have probably every other solo. So I'm a big believer that you shouldn't be doing just one solo in the level you're working in. You should have 2, 3, maybe even 4 solos in that level on your stand, and you should be working to create yourself as that level player. Not just, I'm going to do this one thing. You want to become a level 3 player. You want to become a level 4 player with all of the techniques, scales, articulations, and rhythms that go along with being that player. So that's what I think about choosing a solo, especially if you're going to the NISMA Solo Festival.
Awesome. Well, I think we're short on time because we have to get to our massed horn ensemble. So, Mr. Orloff, do you want to let everyone know what we're about to do?
Well, everybody, it's time to pick up your horns, and we are all going to play the 2 pieces of music that you hopefully have downloaded and printed out from yourself off of the Scmea.org website, off the Horn Day page. We were going to start with the theme from the Pink Panther, and as always, we will end with Auld Lang Syne, where we will say to each other, see you next year. And we can all hope that the terrible pandemic that has kept us apart and not on stage together and not eating dinner together and having a great time as we always do will be over, and that we'll all be back together again, horn players united, horns in hand, playing the greatest brass instrument together. And I look forward to playing this virtual masked horn ensemble with you.
Awesome. Well, here we go, boys and girls. Get ready.
Let's go.
Thanks to everyone for coming to Horn Day. Stay safe, stay healthy, and keep playing your horns.